bonjour, and welcome to the Amateur Detective Club. This club is exactly how it sounds. A bunch of amateurs talking about their favorite mysteries. So if you encounter a real mystery or a murder, contact the proper authorities. Do not come to us. We do not know what we are doing. But enjoy the program. Allons-y. Let us begin.
I now call this meeting the Amateur Detective Club door. My name is Tristan Miller. Yes, salute.
I'm Melissa Meli, the spy.
I'm Tyler Riley. A cab in search of the white whale. I don't remember what my new name is.
It was the vigilante.
Oh, okay.
I mean, you can change it every week if you want to. Like, that's fun.
The vigilante, no, that's a good one. Oh,
yeah.
If only I had remembered it in time.
It's called entertainment. Giving the people what they want. It is. I think that's what we're supposed to be doing anyway. Entertaining people.
Oh, Christ. I've been doing it wrong this whole time then. I've been...
I wanted to tell you about that.
I love to get notes. It's my favorite thing.
While we're recording? Yeah, even better.
Yeah. You can go to scavengenetwork.com. They got a bunch of stuff there. Word to your mother.
You can find us on social media at ADCPod. That's Twitter. That's Facebook. That's Instagram. And nowhere else. We also have a Discord, which I signed into for the first time.
Which is how you know. Yeah, that's how you know it's good, is when...
Don't worry. I have had a group of people rope me into Discord, so I'm now paying attention to it. But okay. I've made space in my brain for Discord, so good news.
Good.
And oh yeah, brother, it's WrestleMania weekend. And it's also time for me to remind you of ADC's Patreon. Oh yeah, buddy. Gotta snap into the URL, which is ADC Pod. Nope, it's not.
It's patreon.com/
It is patreon.com/ADC Pod, brother. Oh yeah. Get access to all kinds of benefits like early releases and bonus content.
So that's Hellraiser, right? That's a Hellraiser impression?
Sure. If it sounded like anything, go with that and go with God.
Stone Cold Steve Austin?
Sure.
Okay.
Adam Savage from
throw them all
Mythbusters.
Stone Cold
Wrong
does a bunch of commercials
he's more
on
like
Spotify. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he has a podcast, the Broken
Yes.
Skull Sessions. He also has a
Yeah,
brand
that's
of beer.
right.
They just released an American lager. They released that on March 16th. Very good beer. And he is also returning at tonight's WrestleMania. We are recording this on April 2nd.
The holiest of days. Stone Cold Steve Austin and Ice Cube, and then they added someone else recently, do commercials
Ice-T?
on Spotify. Perhaps. And they all advertise, hey, use cold water instead of warm water because it's better for the environment.
Tyler,
yeah,
you've been to WrestleMania, right? How many?
Yes, I've only been to one. The last time it was in New Jersey, which was, I think, the last in-person WrestleMania before everything went to hell.
Yeah. Was it 2019?
Yeah, WrestleMania 35. It was the first time women main evented WrestleMania.
I was not at that one. I was at, I think, the one before when they did it in New Jersey. Was it? I don't remember. I feel like Triple H, who I heard just announced his retirement. Triple H is retiring, right?
Yeah.
I got that. Yeah.
Yeah. That was hard news to hear, but yeah, it needs to happen.
I know you loved him.
He's not he's not dead. He's just not going to be on the TV anymore.
No, he'll be on the TV sometimes, but like he won't get to have like a final match. Like, he won't get to have like that, big send off because
maybe he'll Tom Brady.
No, he like had a massive heart episode. Like he cannot do it again.
I have a question about wrestling. Mm-hmm. A lot of time in like baseball and whatnot, they hire former baseball players to be commentators. Does that happen with wrestling too?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, that's nice. Or to like coach.
Yeah. So,
yes.
Triple H still has like his WWE corporate office job. Like he still has that role within the company. But yeah, there is Corey Graves is a current commentator. He is someone who was a wrestler, very young, got injured to the point that he was told by doctors, you should not do this anymore. And they hired him as a commentator, and he's been commentating like ever since. Like he's been going on a good, like almost decade of commentating.
Speaking of wrestling. And things that make us horny. This movie's really horny. I don't know. I was trying anything.
Oh, I had the perfect segue.
Okay.
Tyler, go back.
Yeah.
So it's WrestleMania weekend. So this was also the weekend of the Hall of Fame. And this year's headliner was the dead man himself, The Undertaker, who was inducted to the Hall of Fame. The dead man, Death on the Nile.
Oh
That's
my God.
We were... Come on.
We did it. Perfect.
I am in.
Perfectly
it was
done.
going to be so good.
Wait for it. I am in denial of that.
Someone had to do it. Someone had to, right?
I had it for
It's
a specific
okay.
moment in the movie, but it's fine. It's fine, Tristan.
You can just say it again. You can just say things more than once, now can't you? You can say heaps and it doesn't matter. Anyway, we're talking about Death on the Nile. The adaptation from 2022 was supposed to be released in 2019. Pushed back twice because Kenneth Branagh insisted on it be released in theaters, which I think was a detriment to the film. Personally, it stars Kenneth Branagh and a cast of actors that we will have to address individually.
And some other people.
Individually as to why we are not going to be talking about them much. I think Kenneth Branagh might be a provocateur based off of this, and then also his casting of Johnny Depp in the previous during the height of Johnny Depp's controversy,
Yeah.
So he might be like, yeah, let me see what I can get away with, because that's what he sounds like, right? He's very...
Well, to be fair, though, he did cast Johnny as the dead guy.
Yeah.
Like the guy that gets deadened.
That's true. Immediately, you're like, oh, I hate this guy. I hope he dies. And then it's like, oh, cool.
Oh.
Yeah.
What?
No, totally. So, fun bit of trivia for all those keeping up with ADC Pod trivia. Our first episode, I don't know. Yeah. Our first episode was the Kenneth Branagh Murder on the Orient Express.
That's true. And that was the first.
Not mine, but
that's true.
Right.
The first ever, shall we say?
No.
The first ever.
And that was the first time, other than seeing it, occasionally at Masterpiece Theater with my mom growing up, of seeing Hercule Poirot, and so I was like, oh yeah, this is pretty good. I like this. Great, A+. And then having watched a lot of Poirot now, I'm like, I see people's points. I have some critiques.
So that one, the one that you were seeing on Masterpiece Theater, was the
David Suchet.
Was the David Suchet?
Yeah, because they would import you through Masterpiece Theater. They would just go, here's a show from the BBC. Here's Miss Marple. on my local PBS.
Okay.
Yeah. It's like, do you want to see the Pride and Prejudice with Alan Rickman 7 times? And my mom said yes.
And
That's fair.
the Chronicles of Narnia with the people in the beaver costumes.
I love that. The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, where they have what is his name? Ricky Tikki Tavi? No, that's the Rudyard Kipling.
That's the ferret or the mongoose.
Yeah. Oh gosh,
right?
What is the little mouse's name? From Voyage of the Dawn Treader, but like he's not a little mouse because they didn't have the CGI technology, so it's just like a little person in like an Ewok-esque costume. It's fascinating. I love it so much. It's so bad. I love it so much.
What a time.
Oh, good times.
Anything to not talk about this movie, huh?
So it's an interesting thing to talk about. So, okay. We have the context of having seen the David Suchet. Oh my god.
Yeah, the David Suchet.
David Suchet. Wow, Melissa's
it's hard to Suchet sometimes.
Right now, apparently, I can't say Suchet. There we go.
It's like if you do Sean Connery's voice and you say sushi. David Suchet.
Sure.
It's just a bit of fun.
Yeah.
Having a laugh.
Yeah, absolutely.
Having a laugh with the boys.
That's right. I like it. It's a way to get there.
So the war.
Oh yeah.
Oh goodness.
Okay, Melissa, you were saying though we've seen the David Suchet but not read the book.
But we have not read the book, and we have not seen other versions. So if we're like, they changed it from this, and you've read the book and are like, yeah, but it was in the book this way.
We don't care.
Probably. I mean, I do to an extent, but like not that much. We're just basing it off of that.
Somebody was on a boat.
Yeah, there was a boat, and then someone died.
No, like in a book we read.
Oh,
there was a boat, right?
There was one.
It wasn't this.
It wasn't this. That was another one. I think that might have been a short story. I mean, there's a short story from the short story collection that was essentially Gilligan's Island, but with a murder. I think there was a boat one for sure. There's been boats several times in
several boats.
Several boats. Oh crikey! I don't.
But that's the context we're coming at this from. So we might say this was different from the David Suchet version, and this one was better. So if it's from the book, then great.
Yeah,
super. Well, eventually maybe we'll read a book again. I don't know who's to say.
I can't. I'm illiterate. I don't know if you know this. I've never read a book. I don't know what words are. I've never seen. I don't even know how to write my own name. I'm just a dumb little cutie. I don't know what to tell you.
well, there you have it. So we go back to the war.
Yeah, as Tyler pointed out, it opens with the war.
It's Halloween. I just noticed that it's Halloween in Belgium, and we are fighting a war.
Belgium.
And the captain, who has some impressive Poirot-style mustaches, says that. We're going to attack in the morning, and a very young Hercule Poirot suggests...
digitally made up. Let's talk about that for a second. De-aged Kenneth Branagh shows up.
Yep.
Luke Skywalker himself, if you can believe it, shows up and is like, but I have a better idea.
Mon capitaine, may I suggest that we attack right now? And he's like, are you sure about this? And he says, I am 100% sure that this is the better idea. And they do it. And it's super successful. Everyone in his company has been spared. And then his captain steps on a landmine.
He trips a tripwire.
Mm-hmm.
And when Melissa and you and I were like one of 4 people, and we saw this in the theater, just as Kenneth Branagh intended.
Somebody was not invited, but it's cool.
It was in the middle of the day.
It was in the middle of the
day. On a Wednesday. Were you available in Astoria?
Who knows?
You're right. We should have asked. Yeah. We should have asked. This is true.
That is true.
We just assumed you weren't available, and that's on us.
That is on us. But when they're like, hey, who are they fighting? The Germans, I guess? All those
Probably.
Germans are dead.
The others.
Pardon?
The others.
Yeah, the others. Everybody who's not the important people. They're like, yeah, great, sick, we got him. I literally, like, the captain's like looking around. I literally pointed at the screen and went with a finger gun and went out loud right as he gets exploded. Because I'm like, there's no way in hell this guy's surviving a scene. And I was right. So jot that down. Tristan was right.
Yep.
Then we see Poirot, and he's in the infirmary after the explosion. And he gets a caller from a lady friend of his. Yeah?
Yeah.
And this is Catherine of the photographs that we were seeing in the first Murder on the Orient Express movie with Kenneth Branagh.
So they are to be engaged, right?
They are engaged, I think.
They're to be wed. They are fianced, as they would say in Belgium.
They're fianced. Okay. So she's pretty much like, oh, I don't care, like, what has happened to you. Like, I still want to get married. I love you, blah, 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 blah.
Because he's got exploded.
And he's like, do you still love me with this? And then has, like, this really dramatic turn to camera with a bunch of, like, burn marks and whatnot to his face. And she's like, oh, but if you just cover it with a mustache...
You want to know how I got these scars? It's very like...
And Hercule Poirot, as we've come to love him, was birthed.
Yeah.
So, flash forward to this kind of...
horny nightclub.
Fancy party.
Yeah.
Horny...
It is a party, right? Or is it just a night out this establishment?
I believe it's just a night out. It's a nightclub. Because they have an establishing shot of it, just says music and stuff, and, you know, then he wanders in. And everyone is, like, swing dancing. I want to know what time period this is, because there's an electric guitar being played, and it's very cool, but it's also people are swing dancing still, and I just want to...
Well, I imagine the 40s,
Yeah, it would be the 40s then, wouldn't it? Because...
It's the late 30s. It's the late 30s.
Okay.
The late 30s.
A thing comes on the screen. It says either 38 or 39.
Okay, nice.
Because I noticed that when I
Look
rewatched
who knows how to read.
Yeah, not I. But so everyone's dancing, and it is the horniest dancing I've ever seen, because it's a combination of like, it's like a bunch of high schoolers. Because it's like they're rubbing up against each other in a way that like they're getting away with something, because they're like, ooh, we're not supposed to just screw, I guess. It's just so horny and weird, and I do love it. You know me, I'm here for horny Poirot.
It's extensive. It's very long. Like, the scene is very long with these people dancing. And I'm like, it's like uncomfortable, but... Yes, I'm like,
for me at least,
I do. This is very hot, and also I feel like I shouldn't be this turned on this early in the movie.
15 minutes in, we just watched someone explode.
I was distracted by an extra couple that was clearly on the 1 and 3. So it was.
Now I hate to bring this up.
It was less horny for me because of that. For that reason, I'm out.
I have an unfortunate question. Were they white?
It is Kenneth Branagh's Death on
Yeah, I reckon as much. Okay. God, how embarrassing to be caught on the 1 and the 3 in a movie. Multiple takes were done.
It could have been that they were just so tired. Who knows? You know? It was just...
And we see this couple dancing while Hercule Poirot watches everybody, right?
So he is ordering dessert. He orders all the desserts on the menu. We love that.
Like a boss.
And
I'm sorry. The vis-a-vis the dessert thing, yes, we love it. We love to see it. My issue, I love horny Poirot. I love that, you know, Kenneth Branagh is a very, you know, svelte, attractive man. But, like, if he's doing this stuff every time he goes out to eat, and you better believe he is, I'm like, what is Hercule Poirot's workout regimen? Is he at CrossFit? What is going on? Because he also has a cane. So there's so many questions for me personally.
I believe his anxiety works much like yours, Tristan, where his heart beats at such a rate.
Do you think he's like Mr. Rogers and has to keep himself at an exact weight of like 144 pounds and what is it, 0.44 ounces, like his bank account?
I know, but I mean, think about the time that like he's also walking quite a lot.
That is true.
And running. This Poirot runs.
He do.
So
yeah, you need your carbs. You got to get that sugar. It's just fuel. That's just science. That actually is true. I said it like it was a joke, but
that's just science.
It is. It's just science. You need simple carbs to sustain you.
When they were filming those scenes in Lord of the Rings where they're running across the plains of Rohan, they just had a bag of candy that they were just like gobbling down, just a bunch of chocolates.
Yeah.
We get introduced
to the horny couple.
Oh yeah, we do.
Yes.
Oh my god. Ugh.
Her name is Jackie, and she is
nothing hotter than when a woman has a name that also could be a boy's name.
All right.
Okay.
You introduce me to a woman named Charlie, I will lose my mind.
Good to know. That was unexpected.
So, Jackie meets her friend, Lynette Ridgway, who has just walked into a bunch of flash bulbs and chatter. And Jackie and Lynette have a chat, and Jackie's like, so I'm engaged. He's over there. He is a big, tall, dumb as bricks, and I love him so much, and all I want is to get married. We cannot wait. And
we
she's
have
like,
sex all the time.
She does say that. She does say almost that verbatim.
And that's like, my goodness. She's like, well, we do.
And we have loads of sex. We have heaps of it.
Yeah. So Jackie says, hey, Lynette, can you give my man a job? That's all we want.
Unemployed.
She's like, and then he comes over with champagne for her.
Enough to fill the Nile.
So much champagne in these little coupe glasses. They're very cute. She says, oh, look, it's my new employee.
Gardener.
And then they start dancing, and everyone in the room can sense the tension, the sexual tension between Lynette and Simon.
Okay.
And
so,
yikes.
Yes. Simon is played by Armie Hammer.
Yep.
Who allegedly
is the heir of the Arm & Hammer fortune.
That is true. That's true. That's not alleged, but allegedly eats people because he's horny about it.
Oh my.
Did you not know about this?
A real Diego Rivera.
Yeah, so we want to address that. He is now since fled to an island that he bought with his wife, and bad move on his wife's unless he gets murdered for the fortune.
There's food on the island, girl.
I knew that there was concern about his behavior. I did not register that it was cannibal concern.
Oh yeah, like he was like texting people like literally I would love to eat you, like as like a sexual fantasy. And so like people were like, he's rich enough where he could just do that, and probably has. So there's that. And then Gal Gadot has some controversy around her because she's from Israel.
Imagine.
Because of
get it?
Yes, I remember because of that stupid video. People have really turned on her because also with that whole when we cared about Israel and Palestine for a week, she is from Israel and people got angry with her. So we should acknowledge those things. These are two quote unquote problematic people in the lead roles.
Are we going to go through the rest of them?
You want to do it now,
or just the two?
Sure, let's just.
I mean, if we're on this track, we might as well just get it out in the open.
So.
Letitia Wright and Russell Brand are in this, and they apparently, well, certainly from what I've been hearing about Letitia Wright, they've got some not great vaccine opinions.
That is so polite. So they're so here's
that's polite.
Letitia Wright is like anti-vax across the board. She's like, I think, and I think it comes from the like our bodies are stronger than, science. And whereas Russell Brand is only against the COVID vaccine, which is wild because he believes in conspiracy theories. He's also very woo-woo. So I think he also has that like, well, the spirit of the universe is going to take care of me or whatever. So they both have bad opinions. But I will say Letitia Wright has been confirmed to be in Black Panther 2, so I think her opinions might have changed, shall we say. Because I know Disney has a you gotta be vaccinated to work for us on a film set.
Yeah, and Angela Bassett ain't gonna let nobody near her that ain't vaccinated. I know that.
Well, thanks, Angela Bassett. I really hope that Letitia Wright has come through because I loved her as Shuri.
Yeah, she's great. And then you have a saint also in this movie of Dawn French. God bless her. Can do no wrong in my eyes. Watch, I'm gonna open up Google after the episode and be like, I have to put out a message of like, oh no, she did this thing. But she's wonderful. Have you seen Vicar of Dibley?
I haven't. I've heard good things, though.
Phenomenal show.
Annette Bening?
Also very good.
We like Annette Bening still, right?
Yeah.
She knows what she did. No, she's good. She's good.
Okay. and also Rose Leslie, famously Ygritte from Game of Thrones. And who else do we like in this movie? The woman who plays Jackie and the guy who plays Book are just...
Oh, the woman that plays Jackie. I want to talk about her in a moment. But also, I don't know if you recall, Melissa, I was like, oh yeah, the redhead from Game of Thrones is in this. And you're like, which one? I was like, there's more than one. Because I have seen seasons 1, 2, 3, and 8 of Game of Thrones. And
still, even then,
I mean, I've just forgot about Sansa because I know that she's not actually a redhead. She dyes her hair for those things, so I consider her a blonde. Okay. A friend of mine recently described their partner as a brunette, and he's a man. And I was like, calling a man a brunette is feminism. I feel like,
sure,
in some way.
Okay, yeah, I buy that. One small step for feminism. Like a little tiny one.
Yeah, I mean, Death on the Nile.
Yes,
Tom Bateman is Book.
Very good. Very good performance.
We also have Jennifer Saunders.
Oh my goodness, yes, of course.
Yes. And Sophie Okonedo.
Yes.
What is her name that plays Jackie?
Emma Mackey.
Love of my life. Just very good in this. I've seen her in literally nothing else though, and I'm gonna try and fix that. She's very good in this as well. Like, in addition to being someone who I want to throw me across a room, she's also quite good at acting.
So this night has ended, and we see a spark between Lynette and Simon, and then we flash forward 6 weeks later. We're on the River Nile. Poirot is sitting in front of the Great Pyramid.
Just chilling.
Eating a cake.
No. When you say the Great Pyramids, you mean a green screen that has been the rear projection in Psycho looks better than this scene.
Does your cynicism know no bounds?
It does.
You really think that was green screen?
It looks like even Attack of the Clones has I buy that more than this scene. I'm so sorry to this visual effects company. I'm sure you worked overtime. I'm sure it had something to do with the coronavirus. I'm sure. But my goodness, is it not lit correctly? And my gosh.
To be completely honest, I usually have no problem with visual effects. Like, I don't notice it that much. Like, it doesn't usually bother me. And I noticed it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
Sorry to this company.
Yeah, I mean...
sorry. It didn't work for me.
Because it might be like ILM, and like you can't always have bangers.
But then someone is flying a kite on on the pyramid that Poirot is looking at, which obviously upsets him very much. He runs over, and he finds that it is his good friend Book, who is flying a kite on a pyramid. He's like, no one has before. Isn't that great?
To which I ask, how do you know? How do you know? Ugh. The audacity
of a white man.
Oh my gosh. So I'm doing some Googling about the visual effects, but there were some background scenes in Morocco and Egypt. However, the majority was shot in Surrey, England, which is wild, because I cannot think of a more opposite part of the globe to Egypt than Surrey.
I mean, certainly we were not climbing on the Great Pyramid to fly a kite. Like, that didn't happen.
Well, let's ask what the people of Surrey had to say.
Poirot is actually pretty happy to see his friend Book. Very happy. Book is, of course, the person we met in Murder on the Orient Express, who's kind of a ne'er-do-well, but fun-loving guy who's been handed everything, but is fully aware. Like, he's very self-aware of how lucky he is, and is not a bad guy, all in all. So he is having some fun, and he says, hey, come over here. I want you to meet somebody. And turns out it's Annette Bening. Yay!
Well, to provide a little bit more, like, he's talking about, like, how he met, like, the woman he plans to spend his life. Like, he's, like, making it seem like it's this big romantic thing. And it's his mom.
Yeah, it's his mom. And she is painting a painting, as you do. And then he says, hey, can we bring Poirot to the party we're going to tonight? And she's like, yeah, I guess so. That sounds fine. So it's a wedding party, and they all gather, and it is very, 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 very lavish and expensive and beautiful. And as it turns out, it is the wedding of Simon and Lynette.
Bum, bum, bum.
They wasted no time. We are introduced to our cast of characters in a very clear way. I feel like it might be a little bit too much, but regardless, Book goes through and is like, this is the doctor.
Yeah.
They thought that Lynette was going to marry him, and then once she met Simon, that was it for the doctor. This is their accountant. The only person that trusts him is Lynette. This is
Andrew, right? Andrew's the cousin Andrew?
Yes.
Okay.
Cousin Andrew. That's right.
So
then we have her, like, assistant,
mm-hmm.
her maid.
Yep. Maid servant, I believe, is the term they use.
Okay. Who picks up a very, very, very fancy necklace. And I am not a jewelry person, really. Like, I like jewelry. I like, pretty jewelry, but I am not, like, needs to be,
yeah,
the best quality of blah, blah, blah. This was an impressive necklace. I was like, oh, wow, okay, I get it. Yikes. Because she, like, takes it for a second and, like, tries it on in the mirror and sighs. And I'm like, yeah, that's fair. It's very pretty.
It is.
And very expensive looking.
So, I did some digging. George Murphy was the visual effects supervisor on this particular film. He also did Murder on the Orient Express. He also did King Kong, the Peter Jackson version. So he's worked with Weta Digital. So I assume that's where he kind of started. Well, he didn't start. Because he also won an Academy Award for Forrest Gump. So I want to not apologize, but recognize his team, like, they just missed one. It's fine. You don't have to win them all, It's fine. He's done other good work. This one just looks wacky.
I appreciate you taking the time because this is his favorite podcast. So
listen, I don't know.
Like, he does not care.
Probably he's an Academy Award for Forrest Gump. But, like, I'm sorry to this man, but it does look like crap. Anyway, so where are we else in the suspects?
We have who are the two ladies?
Dawn French.
What's their relationship?
Van Skyler? It's Van something, right?
Okay.
Van Morrison.
I do not.
Hold on.
Bring it up.
I want to get this right.
Why did I not?
Okay.
It's Jennifer Saunders' character.
Yeah.
And then Dawn French, yes? That's who we're on?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's the cousin and her nurse companion.
Yeah.
Right. And the cousin has given all of her money away to the Communist Party and really, really hates all this lavish display, except, like, you can tell that she's kind of into it, but also does have moral issues with it, which is fair. She's like, yeah, I don't love this, but good for her. So, who else is here? Gosh, there's so many people.
Did you get to the accountant?
There are the... Oh, go ahead.
Did you get to the accountant? The lawyer?
Yeah,
Okay,
we
cool.
got to Cousin Andrew.
Cool. Sorry, I was like...
We also have Salome Otterborn and her niece?
Mm-hmm.
Niece Rosalie.
Yes.
They are hired because Salome performed the night that Lynette and Himbo were introduced.
Simon.
Correct. And
she plays the guitar very well.
Rosalie is an old schoolmate of Lynette's. Yeah. So everyone knows her.
Uh-huh.
Like, they've got a relationship to her other than just, I've hired you to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm scrubbing through this on Hulu, and I have the captions on, and Lynette just went to hug the doctor.
Yeah.
And the caption says, man grunts.
Man grunts.
I found funny.
Man grunts.
Man grunts.
Yep.
And
everyone is all in white, and it does look kind of great.
Yeah.
Well, not everyone. Almost everyone, though. It looks fantastic.
No, because I think someone's about to arrive.
Yeah, Jackie shows up.
In a red dress.
Yeah. Yeah. I was foaming at the mouth. Like, it was like, you see in a cartoon when cartoon characters like stamping their feet and their eyes pop out of it was that for like anytime she shows up. Oh my gosh.
No, that's fair. I also have seen Jason Momoa.
I mean, good for you. I will say this. I don't find Jason Momoa attractive by himself, but when paired with Lisa Bonet, my mind breaks. Does that make sense?
You're an insane person, but I also agree at the same time. Like, I find him
all
alone,
of these people
like, attractive, but like, yes, him and Lisa Bonet is next level.
Yeah,
like,
how dare you? Like, it should not be allowed.
Yeah, and like, I feel so conflicted about their breakup because I'm just like, yeah, you shouldn't be together, but also like, y'all should be together.
Yeah. Yes, all of these people are very hot.
End of thought, end of sentence.
I'm here for all of that. But yes, no, there is something about Jackie. It might be that she's a little crazy, and that works for me.
Love a woman that can kill
like
me.
Alice in Luther, played by Ruth Wilson.
Oh, I have not seen
Nor
it
have
yet.
I.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I want a woman who can kill me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And have fun while doing it.
Yeah, I want to know that that's possible. I want to know that that's on the table at any point.
Tristan a while ago sent me a tweet that says, "I'm only attracted to gentlemen with beards and women who can kill me,"
which is absolutely Melissa's vibe.
Yeah, that's right.
Whereas
that's
that's
pretty much it.
I can't stand a beard, but good for you. So she shows up and basically she's been doing this. She's been following Simon and Lynette around, going, "How dare you? How dare you? I'm gonna ruin your honeymoon / wedding."
She's walking past the wedding cake. She's like just standing next to the wedding cake, staring at it like,
That could have been mine.
what could I do to
But like the great thing about her though is that she doesn't say a thing.
No, she just rolls up.
She just shows up and just knows that just by being there is enough to just ruin these people.
I love a petty.
So good.
So good. It's so good. Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it so much.
I can't with this woman. It's a perfect combination of casting and character, and I just is what I have to say.
So they have their wedding, and then Simon and Lynette pull Poirot aside and say, "Hey, could you do something about her?"
Like, "I am not a bodyguard. What do you want me to do about it?"
Basically, he says, "Has she made any threats?" And they say, "No, but like we know she's going to." And he's like, "I can't do anything with that."
I can ask her politely to leave. You know, which he does do at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, he's like, "You can't hire me, but I'll talk to her anyway and see what's going on." And he does talk to her, and she says, "Listen, I know he loves me. Lynette just dazzled him, but he's really mine. At first it started out that I just wanted to, be near him, but then I started getting bolder."
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you did. And she shows him a gun. It's, oh my gosh, it's so much. But it's also very sympathetic. Like, I get it. Goodness, this woman was engaged and then just all of a sudden her life got turned upside down. And
so
caught in one little fight.
I'm not gonna go there.
I know. I heard it too.
Got it. Move on.
Yeah. But I'm happy we all know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, there will be no commentary on that moment. There has been enough. There has been enough.
God, it's exhausting.
It's so exhausting. But yeah. So Poirot's like, "Hey, I know I'm so sorry, but could you just not?"
He's just like, maybe.
She's like, "No,
don't show someone that you have a gun when you said you are upset." This is what is called, how you say, a bad freaking idea.
Verbatim.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would love. I mean, that's probably just Columbo, but I would love like a modern Poirot where he's just like cussing and stuff. He's like, "You morons." I mean, I guess Columbo doesn't cuss, but he is a modern detective. Modern for 1970 whatever through 90 whatever. So.
Oh jeez.
Yeah,
yes.
they don't really make detective shows like they used to. Well, I guess there's less of a need for like private detectives to like handle like these kinds of things these days.
Well, I mean, sure. I'm trying to think of well, I mean, there's like Only Murders, but that's like an overarching non-serialized. That's closer to Murder, She Wrote, because they have no business investigating a murder.
Yeah.
But like, that is a very good point. Who's like a modern private detective as like a job? Huh.
Modern Watsway.
Yeah, I guess so. That's
yeah,
as good as it gets. But also Columbo's a lieutenant in the police force. So he's not a private detective, he's just a detective, which, what can you do?
Yeah, that's fair.
So Poirot goes to Lynette and Simon and says, "All right, listen. My advice is cut it off. Just go home. Build your life." And this is actually pretty solid.
That's very good advice.
Yeah. And Simon's very, "What about our Egyptian honeymoon? Oh my God, we've got to do this Egyptian honeymoon." And Poirot's like, "Consider it the price of love. And a bargain at that. It's like, yep, all right, fair.
And Simon is also like, I can't let her do this. I want to get one up on her, you know, like out of stubbornness and spite. It's not just like, all this expense. It's like, screw her. We're in the right. And he's being too prideful about it.
Yeah. Lynette, to her credit, is kind of like, maybe we should pack it in.
Which will be evidenced as to why later on.
Yes. So, by the way, Jackie also tells a story about how she was in Antony and Cleopatra, and then Lynette came in and like a week before the play, and they gave her part to Lynette, which is wild. But then also it comes up a bit because there is Antony and Cleopatra quoted in this movie.
I literally, there's someone on Twitter today posted that clip where later on they're on like some ruins and they're quoting Antony and Cleopatra and like grinding up against each other. Simon and Lynette are. And someone posted just like, this should be hot and is yet not at all. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know how they managed to so screw up this moment so badly.
Yes. So essentially they get on the boat and they're like, screw it. We're getting on a boat and we're gonna be we're gonna have our beautiful Egyptian honeymoon and you're all coming with us. And the way they do this is they put Lynette in a very elaborate Cleopatra costume on a platform, and like she quotes Antony and Cleopatra or whatever and like says, hey, come on the Nile with us. And it's like, okay.
Yeah,
everyone applauds, and I'm just like, this
and judging from the casting of this film, I was like, this seems about right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's gonna play Cleopatra in an upcoming film directed by Patty Jenkins, if you're not aware.
So unfortunate.
It is. It's truly just, I'm sorry. No thank you.
I will not be watching unless there is someone else in the film that compels me to see it. Like, who's playing Antony? Do we know?
I don't know, but I don't care. I'm sorry.
Well, that's fair.
I'm gonna look it up.
It depends for me.
I'm gonna look it up.
All right.
Antony and
it would have to be really good to convince me. So let's see. This is my challenge.
I do support it more than I did Catherine Zeta-Jones playing Cleopatra, which I don't think ever came to pass, but it was going to happen at one point.
Oh, okay.
Gal Gadot.
Let's all sit and wait and listen to Tristan Google.
It's my favorite part of the podcast.
I know.
Okay. Patty Jenkins has left the project, and the person that did Falcon and Winter Soldier is now. Whoo boy. This is gonna be a mess. And someone described it as a Cleopatra biopic. So maybe it's not Anthony.
So it's not the Shakespeare.
Yeah, maybe it's not that. But everyone is upset that they did not hire an Egyptian person to play Cleopatra, which is understandable.
Yeah, somebody from Africa, yeah.
Yeah, would be great. Oh my God, we can't. So Patty Jenkins is out because she wants to go do Star Wars or whatever she's doing.
All right.
Yeah, Hollywood's a mess right now for so many. It's always been, but now we have access to it.
Just right now.
Yeah, it's never.
Okay, so we got on the boat. We have tons of champagne, which Lynette talks about by saying we have enough to fill the Nile, and then tosses some champagne in the Nile.
Which is littering.
Carelessly.
And killing hundreds of fish.
And it turns the river to
getting them a little.
It.
She's just getting the fish a little drunk, that's all.
But number one, that was memed to death. I don't know if you saw that on Twitter. That it was
I did not.
It was. People were roasting her for that moment. It was very funny because it does not work. To put it in actor's term, it is a moment that does not work. But also there was something else. Yeah, nah, never mind. That's it.
So yes, we are getting lots of beautiful.
Oh, I remember now.
Sweeping scenes of the Nile. Go ahead.
It's to your you reminded me because that's the thing I wanted to talk about. Every time they do because they clearly didn't go to Egypt to shoot. They didn't even get like stock footage of like the Nile River or whatever. So every time it like pans out in like what would be a helicopter shot, it zooms out. It looks like Civilization 5. It's not great. It made me laugh out loud, unfortunately. It looks like Age of Empires 2, Age of the Kings. It looks like a video game you would play on an N64. I'm sorry to this visual effects company I keep putting on blast.
Yeah. So we've got a lot of landscape stuff going on.
Boy do we.
And when Lynette is introducing the boat, I guess,
it's like boat.
She says, "Everyone's gonna. My handmaiden will go pack up all your rooms. Don't even worry about it," which would make me very anxious.
Oh, yeah.
I'd be like, I want to do my own thank you. I don't trust this person. Also, I'm embarrassed by my stuff, so I need to do it myself to save.
Also, for spoilers' sake, because the spoiler is coming, for the amount of people who had guns in their luggage on this boat, the fact that no pushback happened in that moment was
30s.
Wild.
Yeah.
Melissa, why are you embarrassed about your stuff? We have to unpack that. I'm sorry. You can't just say I'm embarrassed about everything I own and then like move past.
I understand that.
It's just the way I exist in like a hotel room is embarrassing. Mostly because my stuff is everywhere in a way that makes no sense. And my most recent trip where I had a hotel room all to myself, packing was a nightmare. I did not have enough room in my luggage. It is a miracle that I got everything back with me. Stuff was strewn all about. There were like little sugar packets in various different places. Oh my goodness. If I travel with another person, I'm better. But if I'm by myself, it is not cute at all. Like, no one should go pack up my room. I'm the only person who should pack up my room. It took me forever to be able to send out my laundry without being self-conscious about it.
Interesting. You do know that like housekeeping has seen like ejaculate and cocaine everywhere. Like,
but they haven't seen my ejaculate of cocaine.
Valid point. You know what? I'm gonna take the L on this one. Be embarrassed. Shame on you both for existing.
Look, my super just came and fixed up a bunch of stuff in our apartment, and I felt guilty about it. So my shame has no bounds. Yeah, we don't have time.
What?
I'm not Jewish. I'm not Catholic. How did this happen?
You're not even. No, because Italians don't have that unless they're Catholic.
Most are.
Yeah, but like, whatever. I don't have time. You're not even Protestant. Like what?
Well, sort
by
of
association. I
am.
guess.
Well, I was confirmed in a Protestant church.
All right.
So.
So you're going to heaven. Great.
Yes, I am.
That's what that
means. There you go.
So they go on this little jaunt to some ruins, and basically this is the scene where Antony and Cleopatra is quoted, and they do this.
But before that, just real quick, cousin Andrew comes along and is hey, can you sign some papers for me? And she's like, well, I have to read them. And he's like, it's so sorry to interrupt you in your honeymoon. Like, you don't really have to read this. It's really okay. Just some little formalities. And Rosalie is sitting near her. And she's like, since when are you going to let a husband make you a worse businesswoman or whatever. And she's like, you know, you're right. I'm going to have to read these later. But for the moment, we are going to all go and check out some ruins.
Yep.
So
and then there's this
after
subplot
with
Poirot getting the hots for who's the musician?
Salome.
He's like, guitar. I don't know. But we're in the ruins. Everyone's walking around, and then Antony and Cleopatra is quoted on a very severe balcony. Well, they are about to have sex. By the way, you know, it is wild.
Who?
Simon and Lynette. They are about
they
are about to do it on Egyptian ruins, which is in such bad taste. And then a boulder or some.
Well, they said it's already ruined.
Oh yeah. And then a chunk of the ruins falls and almost kills them. Yep. And then
so everyone's very alarmed. It's very alarming.
And then they go back to the boat.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And then Jackie shows up on the boat.
Yeah, Jackie's like there, right? Like when they like come in.
Yeah.
Basically, right after this incident, they see Jackie and they're like, "It had to be her." And basically, it's like we can't actually prove that. And
because the night before they go to the ruins, they're like, by the way, we're picking up passengers tomorrow. And then they all come back to the boat. And the reason I remember this is because I love, again, the costuming that Jackie's wearing is phenomenal, but it is a midriff. And I did turn to you, Melissa. I was like, were they doing midriffs in the 30s? Because it feels like it's anachronistic.
Yeah.
But she does look just... I want her to slap me in the face.
Before this, we should mention that Poirot and Book had a conversation, and Book has confessed that he is in love with Rosalie,
yes.
and that he loves her. She loves him back, and he has just been trying to get money together so that he can stand on his own without his mother's, money, so that she doesn't have to really approve, other than saying, all right, go forth and conquer.
Yeah, and she does not approve of the arrangement. She does not like Rosalie. Is it because she's racist?
Sorry, what happened now? Sorry, I was looking up midriffs in the 30s.
Send me the link, please. But no, because
they did exist, by the way.
Hell yeah.
Starting in 1932, it started being incorporated into evening gowns.
Okay, and that's kind of what she's wearing. It's like a flowy pants with a little thing. So we were talking about how Rosalie and Book are in love, but Book's mom hates Rosalie, and we're trying to decide whether or not it's because she's a racist.
Oh, I don't believe it is.
Okay.
I just think she hates all women who would take her son away.
Which, I will say, the change to make it Book rather than just some rando does get rid of the, Oedipus thing that is in the other version.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Really
I wasn't...
a pleasant change.
I wasn't remembering. Yes. I'm very happy to have Book in this. I didn't mind that change at all. We don't quite find out his mother's opinion until a bit later, but yes, that is all true. So we have Lynette confronting Jackie, like, could you please just leave us alone? And she's like, you're a jerk. And Lynette's like, you know what? I am really, I know. Lynette's like, listen, I get it, but we cannot keep doing this. I am sorry. I'm not sorry that we fell in love. I am sorry that it hurt you, but this is kind of how it is. Can you please ease up? Mm-hmm. Which is reasonable, to be honest. And so they're all sitting out on after the bartenders have ended their shift, and then Jackie's like, I would like a drink, please, now. And everyone's like, could you calm down? maybe just ease up.
She's like, well, maybe if I had a drink, I could ease up.
Which is fair. Me defending Jackie this entire time.
Jackie does nothing
wrong.
Jackie does nothing wrong.
And then Simon comes in and, well, he's already there, but he comes up to Jackie and is like, and really goes off on her. And in a way that is too much. Like everyone else in the room, Salome's in there. I think Rosalie's in there too. And they're like, maybe Simon, that's enough. Like, that's enough. Yeah, he says he never loved her, probably.
Yeah.
Which is never productive. Like, he's mad and he's just yelling things at her. And right before all of this, Poirot was convinced to have one glass of champagne and, like, immediately had to go to his room and go to sleep.
Little Poirot got a little woozy.
Right. So, after Simon's super mean, Jackie pulls her gun out and shoots him in the leg. And everyone's like, okay.
And then
Book is in there. Rosalie is in there. Rosalie takes her up to the Nurse Bowers and is like, can you deal with her? Because she almost goes to shoot herself because she's so upset that she's hurt Simon. And Simon needs attention, so Book goes to get the doctor.
I want to note the cinematography in this scene is quite good because they do an extended shot on, I guess, a Steadicam, most likely, or it doesn't look like a crane. But it's too smooth to be, anyway, but it's a very nice, like, long oneer that goes all around the boat, and it's very cool. The cinematography overall in this film is beautiful.
There's some shots that they do, like where they shoot them through the backs of the wicker chairs or through a window. And there's a lot of it. And it's like, that is a cool shot. And they stay on it for too long.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that is actually also a problem in Murder on the Orient Express. They have a bunch of shots from like above.
Yeah.
And it's like, great, okay, this is fun for a moment, but like, then please take it down so I can see what you're looking at, especially when they're looking at clues. Anyway, I just did a side note. I just went on a podcast and talked about the Branagh Murder of the Orient Express like 6 days ago. So it's very much in the top of my mind and the similarities between the two, because Kenneth Branagh, of course, directed both of them and et cetera, et cetera. So,
and Melissa...
But it's a great shot. It's really cool, this particular scene. It's very engaging. It's very interesting to watch.
And while we're kind of on the topic of his directing style, I think, Melissa, you and I talked a bit about how kind of it feels a lot, it's self-indulgent is what it feels like a lot of the time. It feels like Kenneth Branagh is obsessed with, like, beautiful things.
Yeah.
And so he's like, okay, we have to have this cast of actors that's, like, aesthetically pleasing. We have to have these, you know, the sets and everything, and the camera has to be beautiful. And it's like, you know, sometimes you can just do, like, one thing can be nice. It's fine. I don't know. Just seems a bit much. Ostentatious, I guess, would be the word I would use.
Oh, certainly. And I don't mind a movie being beautiful at all. But, like, when it's to the detriment of the story, yeah. Because it can be. And I think it is here. Yeah. In certain ways. At certain moments. So to continue.
So Simon's been shot. Excuse me. The most boring part of the movie. Simon's been shot. And they go and grab the doctor. And by the way, Dr. whatever his name is played by Russell Brand. And I believe in the book and in the Suchet version, he's a German doctor. And I was quite upset that Russell Brand did not do a terrible German accent. Because when he was cast, I was like, yes, I get to hear my boy just muddle through he's gonna sound South African. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be a terrible performance and weird and strange, and he just doesn't do it, and it made me so upset. But the doctor goes to Simon and is like, well, yeah, his leg's bloody well been shot, hasn't it? And then goes and wraps him up in his I guess his room, would it be?
They actually move him. I think they do take him to his room.
Yeah.
I think that's right. So the nurse gives Jackie something to calm down and then, like, sits with her. Yeah. And then, everything calms down. Everyone's being tended to. Great.
Yeah, because on their way back to taking Simon to his room, they pass where. What's we were just talking about? What's Jackie's room?
Yeah. Yes, they do. And then you see that Poirot has been asleep this entire time. So, yes. The next morning, you see...
There it is. There's the joke.
Great. The next morning, you see the handmaid. I don't know her character. I don't remember her character's name, but the handmaid played by Rose Leslie.
Right. Sorry, real quick. We also do see right before what you're about to introduce, we do see something go over the side of the boat, hit the bottom of the Nile, and it's like this wrapped up something
with some fishes,
Right.
Digital fishes.
No,
with a Windows 95 screensaver.
No, they didn't just reuse N64 Super Bass Pro. No, they didn't.
I'm so sorry to be so mean to it, but it's fun to be mean sometimes. I don't mean nothing by it.
Oh, and Louise. Louise is the...
Louise.
Yeah.
Louis?
Right, that's the handmaid.
Yeah.
That's her name. Great.
By the way, some very good accent
Louise...
work from Rose, whatever her last name is.
Rose Leslie.
I want to say Rose McGowan, who is a completely different person.
Very different.
Yeah.
Very different person. Yes. So she comes to bring food to Lynette in the morning to wake her up, and then you hear her scream because Lynette has been shot in the head
She's
dead.
the titular role.
She is the Death on the Nile. Yes.
Yeah.
So, they go and get the doctor. They go and get Poirot.
I know that they have to, but the formality of getting a doctor, be like, can you confirm that she's shot in the head and dead? Like, you know.
Yeah.
There's a hole in her head where there wasn't before.
Well, I mean, people have been mistaken before.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
It's true. So he says that there's scorch marks on her temple, which means that the gun was probably held right to her temple. And it was probably a little gun, like a 22, which is exactly what Jackie was carrying around.
I will say this. In this moment, I did think of you, Tyler, because it was the gun not in the left hand.
Can't be a suicide.
Can't be a suicide.
Can't be a suicide.
Yep. So of course Poirot is like, "Well, Jackie did it," and then he goes downstairs because they've told him where she was, and the nurse is like, "She has not left. I have watched her all night, and she is like, I drugged her.
Yeah,
like she's asleep. She has been asleep this entire time." And it's like. Okay.
Oh, that is very weird. Now I have to do some work, I guess, on my vacation.
Mm-hmm.
This poor man.
So they go back into like the bar area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they go through what happened. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they have to catch Poirot up. Yeah. So basically, the gun that Jackie used, when she shot Simon, they can't find it. They have no idea where it is.
Yep.
So.
And I think...
And is it... Oh, go ahead.
Poirot, I think, surmises quite quickly. It's like, well, it was thrown overboard. It had to be. Like, the Nile is right there.
Okay, cool. Because I was about to ask, like, this is where, like, he gives the order to then dredge the river, right? So the boat gets stopped and they start it's like these like claw like looking like rake looking things that
it reminded me of, there's that moment in Spaceballs when they're like comb the desert. It reminded me of that.
I guess you like that's
what a weird movie. It almost works.
And then Simon gets his moment to like cry over Lynette, right?
Boy, does he. Now, I want to know, did Armie Hammer and Kenneth Branagh make the choice to make Simon a bad actor? Or does Armie Hammer suck at his job? Which do you think it is? By round of applause. No.
I think it's a combination of... I think it's a combination of great stage acting in a tight shot.
Okay.
Like it was the right performance, but for the wrong camera.
I can respect that choice. Yeah. Because it is a close up.
Like, it's so close.
It's like, even Tom Hooper would be like, oh, you're too close to that person's face.
It's really a lot of very, very animated crying.
I'm glad that there were like 4 other people with us in the theater when we saw this, because I would have burst out laughing. Had I watched this in my own home, I would have like guffawed like a big belly laugh. Because it is just so out of place, and
it feels like too much.
Yeah, far too much.
It's a lot.
It's the fact that Melissa and I both started laughing when you brought it up is, I think, indicative. And like, Melissa, you're very kind to performances a lot of the time. And so I'd let that speak for the quality of this moment.
Ooh, yeah. Did not know what to do with that.
I did. So throw it in the garbage.
So we get a shot of Lynette's body being brought on a stretcher downstairs, going past everyone on the ship. So it's like, look, here are our suspects. You're welcome.
A lot of that in this movie. Admittedly, there are a lot of people on this boat.
That is a fair thing to point out, because it is somewhat difficult to keep track of Agatha Christie, because she often has a lot of characters and a lot of suspects that you need to learn real fast. And, and especially in the case where it's like a bunch of like gentlemen and ladies and whatnot, when we're watching Suchet, it's like, oh my God, who is that person?
Say a bunch of
they
whites.
Look exactly a bunch of white people. It's really hard to keep track of them when you've just been introduced to them. So what he does here and in Murder on the Orient Express is he really works really hard to make sure we understand who each individual character is. And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But like, sometimes it feels heavy-handed, but I don't know how to fix that. Like, that's something I'd have to think about a little bit more to get the same clarity without it being,
Oh, I can tell you.
A lot of long shots.
Spend less time showing us the boat and the Nile and more conversations between characters, and then we'll remember who they are.
There you go.
Because can I tell you, we are an hour-ish into this conversation about the murder, and it's also about an hour-ish in that the murder takes place. And during none of that time do we get to learn anything about anyone who is not Simon and Lynette and Jackie. And it is just... Oh,
that's what parlor reveals are for. We need the shots of them actually in Egypt, in these ruins, and on the Nile.
If you gotta do that, make it a 90-minute movie. Make it an hour 15. Make it a 70-minute film.
With a 30-minute featurette? of the Nile and the Romance?
Yes, put it on the DVD extras. Put it on the DVD. I miss DVD extras so much. Just put all.
Oh yeah.
That should be a part of streaming.
It should be. It makes me so upset because I'm actually getting emotional about this because there used to be so many documentaries about like filmmaking and like specifically the Lord of the Rings extended editions, like taught so many filmmakers of my generation like this is what a DP is, this is what a greens department is, this is what this is, and we don't have that for like even something as big as like Marvel. We don't have that because Disney is so tight-lipped about their dumb crap. Just give me back a DVD extra. That's what I have to say. Buy physical media. Streaming is a con. End of thought. End of sentence.
You lost me at Disney crap because they had some of the best bonus features on that DVD.
No, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Bring that back. But now they're so tight-lipped about everything. That, like, the fact that we are getting, like, a bonus feature thing about, like, for example, Spider-Man No Way Home is, like, a miracle. But it's only 30 minutes. Whereas, like, I would love to know what the casting process for that was like. How did they get people on board? You know, but they don't do that much anymore. Whereas I remember I still have a DVD of the first X-Men movie that was called X-Men 1.5, where if you were watching it, a little thing would come up, a little X logo would come up in the right-hand corner of the screen, and you would push the enter button on your DVD remote control, and then it would pause the movie and show you a featurette about the film. About how they shot that scene. And with Amazon, you know, bringing up like the trivia and stuff, it would be so easy to do a very similar.
I know Netflix did it for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. There's like also like a extended featurette about that comes up.
Okay, well that's great. But
I don't know if they've done it for anything else. I just know that they've done it at least for that.
No. I will admit that they did do that for The Mandalorian. They did, like... Lucasfilm is generally pretty good about it. But...
So we've got... we are just about 2.5 hours into this movie.
And the murders.
And it is a 2.5... we're an hour and a half into the movie, and it's got, like, about an hour left. It's a pretty long movie. So we start to do some interviews, and they talk to Rose Leslie's character, Lorraine.
Louise.
Lorraine
Bobby.
Because they found when they were talking to Simon after letting him finding out about her death, they noticed that Lynette's necklace is missing.
Yeah.
And Louise would have been the one to like look after it.
Mm-hmm. And she says something really weird, like, if I had heard someone blah blah blah. She like is talking very strangely, and for whatever reason Simon's there as well with Book and Poirot. Yeah. I was gonna call him Airq. With Book and Airq. Could you imagine? Ugh.
So we get the background that basically Louise was engaged and Lynette didn't want her to leave. So she said, hey, if you don't get married, she said to her fiance, if you don't marry her, I will pay off all your debt. And which is wild. Like really, it's really wild. Yeah,
and so I wish I would have such an offer.
I know, right? And it's like, oh my goodness. So just to keep her around, she manipulated the fiance. My goodness.
Which goes along with something she says earlier when she's upset that Jacqueline de Belfort is on the boat. She's like, tell me what it costs. Tell me what it costs to just get rid of this problem. I'll buy the whole boat. I'll buy the whole country, even. It's just like, how spoiled can you possibly be?
Yeah, absolutely. So we had learned in a couple scenes previous when Annette Bening, when Book's mom was finishing up her painting, that she couldn't find the red paint that she needed.
Right.
And she's like, how am I supposed to paint these beautiful sunsets if I don't have red paint? Which is fair. And so she had been putting Book on the pyramid in her painting. And Book has a red fisherman's jacket or whatever this is.
A hoodie from Hot
It's a
Topic.
wild... It is a very large, like, weather jacket, which feels out of place. I know it's not, but, like...
It looks like Japanese streetwear. It looks like something from Bape or something. It's so strange. You got it from Shein.com.
But it is bright red.
Mm-hmm.
So you see that she has finished her painting, but because without the red, she has put him in a green coat instead. So they talk to the doctor, and the doctor,
Is this him inspecting the body?
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Very good moment.
Book gets upset and is like all this money, and she's, surrounded by hams.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, yeah, if I had money, I would be surrounded by hams as well.
There's a really beautiful moment in the scene where Lynette's feet are like askew, and Poirot does like straighten them out to be even, and it's very funny, very gallows humor. I did get a good chuckle out of that.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So he questions the doctor while they're in there about their past relationship. And he's like, listen, you loved her. And she dropped you. And he's like, yeah, but I didn't kill her, basically.
Yeah. Because he's like, well, it was our relationship was all very like surface level. Basically our parents wanted us to get together. Is about the prestige and the money, and I did love her, but I knew that she never really was into me in the same way that I was into her. So when she left, it was like not unexpected, but it was heartbreaking. And if I
he's talking about like he was gonna like kill himself at one point.
Yeah.
So the next scene we get, Poirot talks to cousin Andrew. It's like, these contracts that you wanted her to sign, were they very important? And he's like, well, yeah, but now we have to completely redo it because now she's dead, so they're different. But yeah.
And he does have a gun, doesn't
so, I believe
he?
so.
Yeah, cousin Andrew has a gun.
Yeah.
And do they find out what the papers are about here? They did, right? They do, right?
Yeah, it's about her estate,
Mm-hmm.
and now that she's dead, like, things are gonna have to be reconfigured.
Yes, because essentially cousin Andrew has been, like, I guess pseudo-embezzling from her. Like, he's shifted money around, and now he's in debt to people, and he was going to use this as an opportunity to absolve himself of those debts. And now he's just SOL.
Yep, pretty much. But he does also reveal that her godmother stands to inherit some money. Mm-hmm. And obviously, the rest of everything would go to her husband.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And she's like, yeah, but I didn't kill her.
Mm-hmm.
So
then, is it Bowers next? Or is it Rosalie and Aunt?
No, it's Bowers next.
Okay.
So they have a chat with the nurse, and Poirot asks her about how long she's been her companion, and like it's 10 years, and
but
basically
because she's with Miss Van Skyler, it feels like 20.
Very good.
I remember that.
Right.
Very good.
yeah.
Again, Dawn French, national treasure.
Yeah, she does a great job. But, she's clearly been missing her. At the wedding party, she had commented that it's been like 10 years since she's had caviar. And Poirot points out, like, all of her clothes are very high fashion 10 years ago. And he's like, what happened? Like, you were not just her nurse. like, why are you with her? And she's like, because I love her. Basically, we figure out that their relationship is not just a business one or a...
Yeah. Well, also
they're best friends.
Yeah, they're gal pals.
Yes, they're best friends.
But also, Mrs. What is her name? Skylar?
Van Skylar
comes running up the stairs to make sure Bowers is okay. And it is in that moment that Poirot is like, okay, come on, you two.
Yeah.
You know, come on. We all know what's going on here. And yeah.
Right. So, you know, he very briefly is like, so you drugged Jackie, but like, basically, is it possible that you killed Lynette because you wanted Madame Van Skylar to get the money? I think was the logic behind that motive.
Yeah.
Like, because you know she gave all her money away, but she would get some from Lynette, and like maybe we could start again with that money.
To which Mrs. Van Skylar was like, I would just give my money away again. Like, why? Why would I want more? I mean, I guess to raise money for the Communist Party, but I could do that in other ways.
Yeah. And this one seems like a pretty weak motive there. Yeah. So, all right. Fair enough.
But I kind of wish Poirot had been like, do you know how many murders I solve over money?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Sorry that like you feel offended, but like I come across this every day.
Yeah, exactly. So, so he is also asking about Jackie and her being drugged in the room and whatnot, and they're trying to figure out where this gun is. Blah 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 blah. But so then they do get news that they have found the handkerchief. A scarf.
Yeah, because
there was a scarf.
Van Skylar's been missing the scarf this whole time.
Yeah. And they grab it, and it is full of bullet holes, the scarf is, and then there is a bloody napkin that has the gun wrapped in it.
Yes.
And it's a 22, just as we thought. So, all right, well, we've got that now, and then Poirot has a chat with Salome.
Yeah.
And basically they talk about Rosalie's relationship with I'm not remembering what they talked about in this scene.
Well, go ahead, Tyler, if you'd like.
Well, they were talking about how Rosalie and Lynette knew each other, and how Salome herself also knew Lynette. And it was while she was performing, in some hotel and decided to take a swim before her show. And I think Rosalie was with her, right?
Yeah.
So they decided to swim, and then she found out that a young white girl complained about colored people swimming in the pool. And she was promptly asked to leave. And she did, hold like some resentment towards Lynette, who it was revealed to have been that young girl. She understood that it was something that she was taught by her parents. So when Rosalie ended up going off to school with her and became her friend, like that kind of resentment had dwindled.
Right. Salome.
Yes, that's right.
Sorry. Has the two things. One, she has a gun stored in her turban. Dope.
We hadn't gotten there yet, but yeah.
One. Two, she says, if I had shot every white person that was rude to me, that's all I would be doing, which is a dope line.
It is fair. But yes, Rosalie comes in during this conversation. So it becomes a conversation with both of them. And Poirot is like, listen, the turban's kind of out of fashion. Why do you still wear it? And she's like, excuse me, I do not. I think Rosalie actually is like, no. She never takes that off. How dare you? And then she's like, it's okay. She takes off her turban and is like, yeah, I have a gun.
Yeah.
But again,
Only used 3 times, twice in
defense.
And once in anger.
Yeah. Dope.
And last night, it was not in anger.
Right. Ugh. And it's not even the right caliber, is it?
That I don't remember, but
I think it's close, but not quite.
Yeah.
And then the missing necklace has turned up, and it was among Madame Book. What is her character?
Vance Schuyler.
Euphemia.
It was in Annette.
It was in Annette Bening's room.
We always do this.
That's all right. They understand who we're talking about. So Annette Bening is like, I did not steal
why
this.
On earth would I?
And Poirot's like, oh no, you absolutely didn't. That's why it was planted on you. That makes sense. Because whoever put it there would be like, okay, it would be obvious that she did not steal this. And it's like, yeah, that makes a ton of sense. So, all right, who took the necklace?
And to what end?
This is all, yeah, and to what?
To what end?
Yeah.
Then we're on the stairs, and I know Rosalie Book, Annette Bening are all there, but I don't quite remember why we're there.
Poirot says, now I am ready to reveal what I've been working on in my secret case.
Mm-hmm.
So Poirot finds out that since they have... Poirot reveals that since he has met Euphemia, she employed him to keep tabs on Rosalie and Salome because they wanted to know... because she wanted to know whether or not they were good people, because Book was involved with Rosalie.
Mm-hmm.
And Poirot is like, yeah, they're great. And she's like, I still don't like them.
Yeah.
And Rosalie gets very angry at Poirot and puts him on blast in a very good way. And in a way that Poirot is kind of like, well, you got me there. I am arrogant and annoying and nosy. You're right. And that's why I'm a detective.
And then we hear the thuds of something behind Poirot. It's Louise,
who has been trapped in the mill wheel of the boat. Oh, it's gnarly, dude. Bro, it's so...
It was a lot.
It was...
Yeah.
It was...
And we were introduced to CGI for the first time in this film.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's very a lot.
You got me. Oh boy, yeah, it's pretty cool though, because it does, like, it's rare to get like a full jump scare sort of thing in one of these films, and it did startle me.
We do find out though that she was dead before she hit the water.
That's true.
Oh yeah. But then she was clearly thrown overboard and then got caught in the wheel, which is very yikes.
Rough. When we found out that it was a scalpel that they believe had done the job because her throat was slashed.
And the doctor's missing a scalpel as he's examining the body. And he's like, oh no. Oh no.
Yeah.
So then Andrew, I think, goes after him, and then it devolves into this giant battle royal, as it were. Hashtag WrestleMania weekend.
Cheeky.
And
also
is away from the nonsense.
The door's shut, literally, between him and all of the fight, and then he puts his back where her throat would have been cut, and retraces what she would have been doing.
Yeah, he just kind of lets everybody fight.
Yeah,
I mean, it's the two of them really, but there are people trying to break them apart. And he examines like the blood spatter up on the wall and trying to figure out exactly where she was and whatnot. Because it has also been revealed that she had money in her pocket. Because she had been saying that she heard something
that night. She had seen someone on
the night of
deck. The deck.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, so she was paid off.
Right. And so clearly the person did not think that was enough. So.
But.
And then Annette Bening comes out and is like, do something.
Yes.
How many people have to die before?
I want to make a note, though, because money was found in her pocket. And I don't know about you, but if I was, like, killing someone who I just paid off, I would take the money back. There's no reason to lose that investment.
No, agreed.
You know, financial literacy is so important. Coming from someone who can't
actually,
read.
no, I think there is a case for leaving that money.
Okay.
Having that debt paid. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. You can... Could you write that off on your taxes?
The taxes of your mind.
My mind is taxed of late. Yes. So yeah, Annette Bening comes in and is like, you're so bad at your job, Poirot. 2 people have died. And doesn't that also happen in Murder on the Orient Express? No. Here's the thing. Okay. I guess they kind of explain it away at the beginning. But at the end of Murder on the Orient Express, Poirot is talking to someone, and it goes, are you Hercule Poirot? We need your help because I'm here to, I've been sent to get you because there's been a death on the bloody Nile. And then the death has not happened. But they do mention another case in Egypt. Do you think, so they made something up just to say death on the Nile?
And I think that might be, I think that they've connected, I think they maybe have tried to connect the two. Like maybe this was the case that he was just in Egypt for, was the one that he was sent to after Murder on the Orient Express. That's my suspicion, because it's not this, obviously. No.
Well.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. So then we have an interrogation with Book and Poirot, and Book is like, why are we doing this? Are you serious? And he's like, I've got to ask because, I got to cover all my bases.
And he has Simon there as like a witness.
Yeah. So he goes through and is asking him all these questions, and he says he's been lying.
Excuse me.
So he says, listen, Book, you've been lying to me, so you've got to, you got to come clean, because otherwise I can't trust you. So he's saying, like, listen, this is how you could have done it. You could have gone and shot him, gone and shot Lynette. Then to keep Rosalie quiet, you went and took the scalpel and killed her.
Lynette Bening.
Yeah.
Thank you. That is the correct response. A smile and a
but Poirot's like, no. That's not what happened. You did go, though, to her cabin, and you found her already dead, but you didn't call for help. Instead, you took the necklace and you planted it on your mom because, once it was discovered that it was missing, because you knew that no one would ever blame your mom. But you did see Louise arguing with someone. Who did you see her arguing with? Because you saw her murdered, but you haven't told me because you wanted to cover up the necklace theft. And it's like, listen, you gotta say it, And he's like, all right, yeah, you're right. You're right. I'm sorry. And he is about to tell Poirot what happened. And
what does Simon say?
Simon says, no, he's like, he does say something like, what? You mean you know who did it?
Yeah.
It's very silly. And then a gun pops out and shoots Book in the face.
Yes.
And great acting
he
from
is now dead.
Kenneth Branagh in this moment of like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then
very big, oh no. Essentially.
And then of course.
But then Poirot knows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a terrible moment where people have heard the gunshot. Everyone's sticking their head out. Then Annette Bening goes, "What's happened? Who's died now?" And everyone's like,
oof.
And she gives a very good performance as well in that moment.
Yes, indeed she does.
Then it's the cabin reveal.
Yeah, I think so.
They all gather at the bar.
Yeah.
Well, they have actually a pretty long moment where Poirot is, grieving over Book's body. We get a lot of that. But then, yes, he has worked it all out. And so we move into we gather in the cabin, and Poirot reveals who did it. And again, Kenneth Branagh has a gun on everybody.
Right? The stupid thing. Why have a gun? Too many guns in these Poirot films, says I.
He did this also. They did this also in Murder on the Orient Express. And it's just like, I understand, like, we want to make this a standalone movie. This is a standalone movie, and it's different from the books and from the other TV shows. But this is one of those things, and I'm like, Poirot wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
Poirot would not train a gun on everyone.
Or no telling what he'd do.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the moment, like the gunshot and then the doors locking, and I thought it was. I liked it.
Okay, it's dope for sure. No doubts there. It's like fun and cool, but like it would be okay. So here's my thing: it would be excusable if it didn't also happen the exact same way in Murder on the Orient Express, where he's like shoots the gun in the air. He's like, "There are only two people who know the truth: your God and Hercule Poirot."
This is Kenneth Branagh's dolly shot. This is his signature.
All right. You got the Hitchcock zoom. You got the Spielberg oneer. You got Kenneth Branagh's gun. Step aside, Chekhov. A new kid's in town.
So,
and he's holding a gun.
Yeah.
Listen
Oh my God. Do whatever you want.
You gotta listen when someone's holding a gun. So first he reveals that the person that loosed the boulder at the ruins was Cousin Andrew. And he's like, I saw my opportunity. I took it. I was really mad. And then I immediately regretted it. I was very happy I missed. Like,
yeah.
Yikes. That was not the best. And it's like, yeah, all right, fair enough. Okay, moving on.
Just needed everyone to know that happened.
Right, yeah. We're not going to talk about the fact that you did attempt to murder her anymore, but we will tie that up for us. So yes, we're talking about the red paint that went missing because it was stolen by Lynette Doyle's murderer.
Oh. Every time I do hear Lynette Doyle, I do think of that My Brother and Me thing where they're at the Escape to Margaritaville. Prayer.
Matt
Is
Doyle.
that Matt Doyle? Is that Matt Doyle? Is that Matt Doyle? That's all.
Yes, stage actor Matt Doyle.
Oh, yeah, I got to interview Matt Doyle.
Oh, yeah. There was much fuss about him on the blue carpet carpet premiere from the McElroy brothers.
Of Escape from Margaritaville.
Amazing.
Yes.
And he's
then
also
eventually-
in Company right now on Broadway.
Wonderful. But yes. So they had taken, the murderer had taken the paint, the red paint.
Yeah.
So he reveals what happened. Jackie, when in her rage,
Quote unquote,
did not actually shoot Simon. Simon was not shot in that moment. Because Poirot goes and has revealed that there was like
A blank.
bullet hole in. Yeah, it was a blank. But wasn't there like some sort of spent casing, like right? It was not in his knee, obviously, but there was like some sort of shot, and it went to like a table or a chair. Maybe not, because it did make a bunch of noise.
Yeah,
and it looked like but he acted like his knee had been shot in that moment. And then he took the red paint and sprayed it all over his knee.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So that, for me, confirms that the theory is that Simon is not a bad actor because he sells this moment very well.
Okay. Yeah, that's true. Okay. He does sell the I've been shot in the knee moment.
I mean, you know, maybe that's his specialty. Maybe he's a shot in the leg guy, you know.
Right. Rather than a crying over my dead wife guy.
You know.
So
I maintain my point about that.
Yeah. Sure.
Unfortunately, there's no reality in which we get an alternative version of that scene with Armie Hammer, so we can never know. It's, you know, it's unknowable.
Release the bra now edit.
No, it's already long enough, please.
Where's my 4-hour Death of the Nile?
Oh my goodness.
My God.
So yes. So he, while all the fuss is being made, while they're removing Jackie and she's being drugged and whatnot, he shoots himself in the knee.
So cool. So cool to be able to do that.
I know someone who did that.
What?
Yeah.
You can't.
Like, he wasn't a friend. He was dating a friend of a friend. And, like, we had been around each other, like, a few times. But, like, he ended up, like, trying to, like, commit some crime. So, to throw suspicion off, he shot himself in the knees. And still got caught.
No! Oh, no!
The desperation you have to have to be able to do that to yourself is really something.
This was like a good 10 years or so ago. But
oh my God.
Wild.
That is. What?
Yeah, truly. So yeah, I mean.
Yep.
But not before he goes and shoots his sleeping wife in the head.
Yeah, because he runs real spry-like, goes poo, comes back, poo, shoots his own knee, just in time for the doctor. Which is a nice reversal of the shot that they did before, where it was kind of a oneer in that sequence, only from Simon's point of view. Yep. It's fun. See that? Exactly. See that? That's nice. That's good storytelling. It's like poetry. They rhyme.
Yeah. So yes, then he goes back, shoots him his own knee, and you know, the next morning everything happens as it does. And then he gets a message sent to, isn't it Jackie that actually killed Louise?
Well,
because she's
basically in Louise's interview, he's like, yeah, we'll take care of you even though, you know, you were technically employed by Lynette, don't worry about it, because he gets that he's being blackmailed, and then he passes a note to Jackie to be like, hey, get rid of this problem, please.
Yeah.
And she does.
Yep. And then when Book is being interviewed, and Simon is in there, he said something that sent a signal to her to shoot Book.
Yeah. There's something.
come on. He says, come on, which is like really like not something that should have been said in that interview process.
Yeah, but it's innocuous enough that you don't necessarily, but of course, the great Hercule Poirot figured it out. But when he found the handkerchief, it should have been redder if it was actually blood.
Brown.
But
because blood dries to brown, not to red.
Right, and it actually became pink. Because it was pink.
Yes.
After being in the water. So, yep, that is what happened. That is how they did it, which is actually, I mean,
it's a good,
kind of amazing.
It's a good.
Yeah, it was a really, really good plan.
Yeah.
It was a good plan, and if they hadn't ended up killing other people in the process, they might have gotten away with it.
If it weren't for those meddling everybody else.
Yeah.
Those meddling books.
So yeah, all along they've been in love. This was their plan from the start. He knew that, she knew that Lynette would be into stealing her bow, so
because she sucks.
She knew that it would work. Yeah. And so the two of them pull guns on everybody. Everybody's got a gun. That everyone's holding guns on each other.
It's so silly.
And then,
Grand Theft Auto ass.
Jackie and Simon are like, we're gonna get out of here, and then they start making out. And,
it is unfortunately very hot.
It is, and then Jackie takes
they
the
are
gun.
on the Nile.
Yeah. Jackie takes the gun, points it in Simon's back, and shoots both of them as they're making out. And they both die on top of each other.
Yeah, as she mouths "I love you," because that had to happen.
Yep, and they both die in an embrace, which is amazing.
What's interesting about
like, if you're gonna go out, you might as well.
The two stories that Kenneth Branagh decided to.
I don't blame them.
There's a delay.
Sorry.
And now we're back. The interesting thing about the two stories that Kenneth Branagh's chosen to like relay to us are two cases where Hercule Poirot doesn't like do a good job. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like in Murder in the Orient Express,
like they're not brought to justice as one typically thinks of justice.
Precisely. And Murder on the Orient Express is such a big deal because he's in a moral quandary, which is compelling.
Right.
But also I feel like you have to know Poirot a little bit more before you get to that point. Mm-hmm. And then with this one, it's just like he lets 5 people die on Poirot's watch.
And in this particular case, it's basically like, they just did a good murder. Like they planned it really well. And so it thwarted him for a while.
Yep.
And it's also just kind of an exceptionally, because Jackie was the obvious person to have done it, but then when she was and that was immediately who he suspected, but then when she had that concrete alibi, it really threw things off. And so it was really just well done.
Yeah.
So yeah. But Cousin Andrew does ask, hey, maybe am I going to be arrested now? And Poirot is kind of like, ugh, Cousin Andrew, comparatively to what else has happened on this ship, I think you've learned your lesson. It's like, all right, I guess. But we see everyone coming off the boat that's still alive.
The boat's alive?
Salome says, yeah, the boat's alive. Salome says to Poirot, I wish I'd never gotten to see you work, which is fair.
Yeah.
And sorry, Romeo is sometimes when Romeo is asleep, he does little arfs in his dream.
Oh, yeah. It's adorable.
It's the cute. It's the cutest thing in the world, and he's doing it right now. They're like hiccups. It's amazing. So then we got more beautiful shots of landscapes. And then we, at the very end, get a scene with Poirot going to see Salome perform, and he has shaved his mustache. And that's the end of the movie.
I know, and then we get a note passed to Poirot that reads,
yes.
"Sir, there's been a death in the clouds." And then we know that that's the next film that we're... Just kidding. That did not happen.
That does not happen.
Did not happen.
Thank God I hate that
Yeah.
one. Death in the Clouds. That's the worst one. Sorry, Agatha. They can't all be great.
They truly cannot.
I do know that they are planning a third, but it will be a lesser known novel adaptation.
What if it's the chocolate box, where he also sucks at his job?
Maybe it's Murder on the Links or Murder in the Muse, whatever.
Those are both two separate novels.
Yeah, but they're lesser known.
They are lesser known.
And they can't have Book back because they've killed him in this timeline.
Oh, right. Ooh, maybe Parallel End House. I would love
to see Cards on the Table.
That would be.
Ooh, yeah.
Cards on the Table is
he
great.
would do well with that one.
Actually, yeah.
But not enough landscapes for him.
That is one of the
reasons. I know, that's the thing. That's one of the reasons it would be better.
Another thing he's chosen is like to not show London at all. It's just
I mean, these old. I do feel like these are the two most famous Agatha Christie's?
For sure.
Yeah,
for Poirot.
Certainly Orient Express. The Poirot, yeah.
What if he chooses After the Funeral or whatever the hell that one was called?
Oh my God.
What if he chooses that one? What if we have to cry?
Did I black out?
That was the one with Michael Fassbender. That we could not remember.
Oh,
I don't know if you recall. It was like 3 hours of me.
After the Flood. After the
Flood.
Death at a Funeral.
Oh my God.
Oh, buddy.
Is After the Flood just... I mean, I wonder if it was the adaptation or is it the actual story? Because we've abandoned actually reading.
Again, I've never read.
Right.
But I've also realized that I did read Death on the Nile.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, I did. It was by mistake, and I think I talked about it at one point during
yes.
like one of the episodes where like I started to read and I was like, oh wait, no, this is the wrong book, and I had to stop and then switch over to what we were.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh, that's right. I remember that now. Listen, it's not out of the question that we'll go back to a book at some point, but Tristan is shaking their head.
Maybe a picture book.
What do you think a movie is? So
I think we could be convinced, but like so maybe Book does actually die in the book version of this. Oh well, Tyler's read it.
I remember that it starts off. They're not at a party when Lynette and Jack have the conversation about Simon's job. It's like at her estate.
That's in
a
the
difference in the book.
That's in the David Suchet as well.
Very telling that you said that's in the Poirot, because it is Agatha Christie's Poirot, but it also, I'll also say this: is Book a character in Orient Express? And he is okay. Like the
and
book.
I believe in the stage adaptation as well, which I just picked up a copy of.
Oh, nice.
That's fun.
But I think we have an Arthur Hastings in the Suchet. I think Hastings is in
Orient Express.
Am I wrong?
No, not in Orient Express. Nile.
Nile.
No, he's not. It's another one where Poirot is kind of by himself. Because there's that,
by himself.
Because I remember very vividly, there's this beautiful scene with David Suchet. It's where Poirot talks to Jackie and he's like, "Don't do this thing. I've lost a lot for love." And which is like, okay, so, it's comparing apples to oranges, but apples and oranges are both fruit. So, like, we can compare them. But that scene, compared with the scene they have in this one, because you don't get that weird prologue and epilogue with Poirot about Catherine, it's so much more meaningful to fill in whatever blanks you have that Poirot has lost, rather than being like, here is the woman he loved and lost.
Yeah.
We don't need our hands held like that.
I agree. Let's do a little brief what do we think of this movie. We've been kind of saying all along, but Tyler has said less. Yeah. So Tyler, why don't you go first?
This is out of 10 or 5,
10.
I forget. 10, right?
10.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to give this 5 and a handlebar. It was quite a serviceable film. I wasn't bored for most of it. I thought the performances across the board were like either good to pretty great. I do think as we discussed before, like there were some really beautiful shots that just lingered for forever. Like I remember there's one exchange between Madame Bouc and Hercule Poirot in her room. I think they're discussing like the necklace being found, and the camera is outside of the boat, and so we're seeing like looking in through these 2 windows that are in this room, and it was like a nice idea to maybe establish the shot, but we just watched the scene happen that way, and it was so off-putting to me. Like it was just like you're just adding in like these really fun ideas for shots where you really just you don't need them. And I feel like that was the case for a lot of his choices throughout this particular film. But, would watch again, especially like on a rainy day, like a rainy October night. Like I would certainly curl up and just throw on Death on the Nile just because.
If you don't mind, I'll go next. Yeah, I've said a lot of what I think of the movie as well. But I think I would give it a similar score, just over 5. It does too much. We could have shaved off an entire half hour at the very least, with probably just shortening, like, with shortening these landscape shots, right? And again, with watching an entire scene through the backs of wicker chairs, wasn't into that. Like do the shot, but then stop it. Mm-hmm. I thought that the performances were mostly, again, solid to good. Even, do you know, Kenneth Branagh, the thing I find the least upsetting about the work he does on this movie is upsetting. I don't know. The thing that I think is the best about his work on these movies is his acting. Mm-hmm. He shouldn't direct himself. He shouldn't direct these movies. It's too much. And it's too much. It's all just, it's much too much. And it goes to silly at certain points. But like I was watching it while I was cooking last night, and that was fine. Yeah, like there is some entertainment value to be had in this for sure, as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, I actually thought that Orient Express was more successful. I think that this one backslid a bit. And like, can we vet our casts, please, Kenneth Branagh? And yeah, the entire, just the entire like opening scene and the stuff with Catherine, just cut it out, please. I don't need it. I don't want it. And we don't need to mess with Poirot's backstory.
I didn't mean to like laugh at anything. Like just the way you said too much made me think of Whimsical World of Sherlock.
This is why I saved you for last.
Thank you. Yeah, I figured because I'm gonna take up a lot of air time here. Okay, so starting off, I hear what you're saying, Melissa, about vetting your cast. With that being said, all of that stuff happened after they'd been cast and most of the film had been shot. It was just an unfortunate thing that everybody stinks.
No, yeah, that's fair.
It's
that's
just
fair.
like, oops, and I think the similar thing happened with Orient Express and the whole Johnny Depp stuff. You know, I think it was like that stuff was ramping up while they were shooting, and then he was clearly on for 2 days and then got out of there, right? So
sure, fair enough. It was just a thought I had,
sure.
but that's completely.
But also,
fair.
like, you should. At this point, I feel like everyone should be like, "Hey, now wait a minute. What are your skeletons?"
Are you
so we can get a
murderer or an anti-vaxxer? How about get out of here?
So now I hear you about the cinematography and the complicated shots, and I do agree. You know how I feel about coverage. I'm sure I've talked to you about it before. I hate reverse shot. It sucks. It's boring. Get rid of it. However, again, like, I feel like there is a time and a place for complicated shots, and the one we pointed out both times when the shot, you know, when Simon gets shot in the leg, that was an excellent use of camera work and to enhance the story, but a lot of it again seems ostentatious, and there are other ways to go about using a camera to tell a story. And I think you're correct, Melissa, in the strongest part of Kenneth's involvement in this is his acting. He is a very fine actor, and we all know this. Whether or not he should direct himself, I can't speak to that because he does deliver a good performance being directed by himself in these two pictures. Like, that is the thing that does work for me with Murder on the Orient Express and Death on the Nile, is like, he is a good Poirot. He's just different than Suchet, and it's also the interpretation of the character through the writing is off rather than like anything he's doing as an actor, if that makes sense.
Can I just interject real quick? He doesn't write the movies, but I'm sure that he has a lot of...
he's a hand in it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And that I do agree with. Like, there's just like, it's a weird adaptation, to say the least. And you know me, I'm someone who's particularly generous when you're adapting from something to screen, because they're just two different mediums. However,
yeah, totally.
I do feel with both of these films, frankly, condescended to when I'm watching it. It's like meant to be really dumbed down, to use a not great phrase, but it's really like our hands are held through everything. So even when I saw Murder on the Orient Express, which is something I'd never read, never seen, never engaged with, I'd be like, when I got to it, I was like about a quarter way through the film, I was like, oh, wouldn't it be fun if they all did it? And then that's what happened. So like, it's telegraphed rather than like...
Spoiler alert.
Don't. I did not interrupt you. No, I'm kidding.
If you're listening to this and you've not seen any version of Murder on the Orient Express, I can't help you.
You gotta just, I don't know, you know. But I do agree as well. Murder on the Orient Express is a film I would watch again. This one might be my Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. This might be if I wanted to do a worst idea of all time and I had to pick a film to watch over and over again, to upset myself, to have to make up crap about the background characters in order to entertain myself. Something I was already doing while watching this film was watching. I know a movie, I'm not enjoying it when I start watching the extras and what they're doing, and I kind of check out. That's almost how I feel about this. It would definitely be under consideration for that. Does that make sense? This film I did not enjoy. I did enjoy how everyone was hot. I love aesthetics. I love that we're all... Sure. I love that we're at a place in society where we're letting ourselves be horny again. I love that. Because it was sorely missing from the last 5 years. And I'm glad it's back. The CGI I've talked about, I don't want to get into anymore. The performances were, I shall say, serviceable, which is an industry term that we all know what that means. There are people who are cast in this film that I would have not cast. So there's that. But yeah, it's kind of a mess. It's a mess of a movie. I wonder how much it had to do with COVID and how much was shot. If they had to do like weird pickups or whatever. I don't know. It's just a messy film. It doesn't make any sense. And also, you could cut an hour out of this movie and it would be better. Even if you don't spend the time with the suspects, like, it would just be fundamentally better if it was 90 minutes. And 20 of those minutes can come out of the epilogue and the prologue. Because that was, I'll say it, suck. They're bad. It's a bad choice and stupid and weird. And I get what they're doing emotionally of like, here, he has an emotional arc. He's learned to love again, and he's learned to accept himself. Then don't make a third one. You know, that should be the end of the third. If you're going to make a trilogy of Poirot, that's the conclusion to it, right?
I do want to say that they plan on doing more than 3. Like, they want this to be like a universe of films.
Okay, we'll see. But like
oh man, now that I know that, I'm like, well, I would act in one of them.
Well, yeah,
so
sure.
Maybe we should.
Yeah, I would too.
Maybe we should bury this. No, it would be a lot of fun. It looks like a lot of fun to work on.
And like all can't be bangers. And I genuinely enjoy the Murder on the Orient Express. This one just didn't work for me.
Yeah.
I would say it would be kind of fun if we had him do like Murder of Roger Ackroyd, and when Poirot retires, he has a full beard or he shaved off his mustache to like symbolize I am done.
Yeah.
See, and that makes sense to me. But to put it in this one, no, thank you. I do not like it. But
we also don't know how long it takes for his facial hair to grow back.
That is also true.
That's true. He's like, I've backslid. I have my mustaches again.
I cannot. Just when I think I'm out, they keep
my mustache stash.
He can't solve a case without a mustache.
That's true. What if that was what if it's like Austin Powers and he has to get his mojo back by growing a mustache? Or Austin Powers film.
Or maybe, you know how people put on mustaches to go undercover? Maybe he is undercover.
To be honest, that would be a fun twist, and I would enjoy that. Like Richard Kimball in The Fugitive. He has to shave off his facial hair. So overall, I mean, I don't... 3... I want to give it a 2 because of the symbolic, like, he has 2 mustaches, right? So symbolically there, you know, but like it's not it's not the worst movie I've ever seen. I didn't walk out. I did check out though, right? Like I did just at some point. This is what I will say about this film. Here we go. The summation. Were I to watch this at home and not in a movie theater, I would have been on Twitter. I would have been on my phone, because it also doesn't help that I knew how it was done. You know, I remembered, I was like, oh, right, they both do it. And then I was just like, okay, how do we get here? But, yeah, so, not great. He technically has 2 mustaches on each side, so I'll give him a 4. How's that?
Okay, that's how we're doing it.
Yeah.
Okay.
He has
Sounds
2
good.
mustaches on each side. Done and done. I'm sorry, this... I'm so sorry. Just some good... Catherine going, what if you just grow a mustache? So...
Yeah.
Oh,
so
yeah.
stupid, and it's so bad and rude, because it's not even, well, like, oh, well, you know, it is what it is. I still love you very much. You know, if it was a joke, if she had said, well, you could just grow some mustaches, am I right? You know, it would have been fine. But the way it's delivered is earn it. It's literally, to me, laughable. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to this writer. I want to know. I'm going to look him up right now. I'm sure they've done other good things. I would want to be in one of these. It would be very fun, you know.
Yeah, it looks like a ton of fun.
I say this about Disney all the time.
Sure.
I think Disney is absolutely ruining the economy of filmmaking, and I hope to be in a Star Wars someday. Like, I am a hypocrite. I don't know what to tell you. Like, it is what it is. But again, I really enjoyed Murder on the Orient Express. So hopefully I would love to love the next one. You know?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I would love for it to be. I would love for it to be Death on the Clouds and for it to slap. But if he did Death on the Clouds, at some point the plane's gonna start going down, isn't it? Right?
Yeah, and then he will have to, like, get on, like, a little parachute thing, go outside the plane with a gun.
He'll turn to someone, he'll turn to the bee and go, "Get off my plane." And kick the bee out.
I am tired of these motherfucking bees.
Oh my gosh, Tyler, that's very good. Oh, who do we want cast in the next one besides ourselves?
Loretta Devine.
Who?
I've been saying this for every murder mystery thing we
What
cast.
is it? Who?
Loretta
Can you remind
Devine
me?
needs to just be in it.
Can you remind me? Whomst?
Loretta Devine? Oh, gosh, like, is your phone near you? Like, I don't know. Look
What
at
has she done?
Oh, like that you would know? I don't know.
Fine.
I don't know what you know.
Okay, I'm looking up Loretta Devine. In the meantime, Melissa, who would you put?
Oh. Goodness. It's great podcast content, me thinking.
Okay, so the reason I don't know her name, Tyler.
Yeah, it's because you don't know her?
I'm sorry to this woman, I do not know her, except for the only thing that I may have seen her in is Norm of the North.
Oh, that's so unfortunate for you.
Yeah, it sucks.
You should do something about that.
I will. I trust your taste, so I will have a go, as they say.
All right.
I think Florence Pugh would do quite well in one of these.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. She'd be great.
I think
She's great in everything.
she is. No acting training. Why am I in debt? Very frustrating. I think she'd be good. I think Kiki Lang would do so well. She'd be so good.
Okay.
She's so good in everything. I would love, because there's always one weird one where it's like he casts someone that you wouldn't expect to be good in anything. Johnny Depp and then Russell Brand in this one. There's like kind of like a wacky, like, ha, look what I did. And
David Schwimmer.
I would be on
that
board
actually
for
he would probably be good.
I would be.
He did a very.
He's good in Band of Brothers.
He did a great. He's great in American Crime Story.
Okay.
Yeah, he was.
He plays Rob Kardashian, and he does a great job.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just don't like what I've heard about him, which would fit in perfectly for Kenneth Branagh casting him.
I was
about to suggest Eddie Murphy, which would
I'd be fine with that.
Wouldn't it be wild if he was just like, okay, I am gonna put Martin Short, Selena Gomez, and Steve Martin in.
I mean,
it's like just as a weird metatextual thing.
They'd be great. They'd be great in it.
Yeah,
I would watch the heck out of the three of them in a Poirot. That would be awesome.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, with that, I called it.
Yeah, I motion for the meeting of the Amateur Detective
don't
Club
you-
to close. Like, is that?
Tristan, you're normally the one that does it.
I was
It's
with
the
that.
power
And
is-
my throat was dry, and I was gonna take a sip of water.
Oh.
But yeah, we're done. I
Right,
called this meeting.
We don't have time for that.
Meeting of the Amateur Detective Club to be done. We're done.
Gavel sound.
Some sort of button. I'm sick of these
Great job,
planes.
everyone.
All right.